Jungkook and Taehyung planned something in Japan before returning to Korea, not a plan announced in words, nor an official agenda posted on a public schedule. It comes as a series of small moments that, when put together, form one strong impression. There's something they are preparing for. In between the seemingly ordinary return, there's a meaningful silence. For those who are sensitive, that silence speaks louder than any announcement. The two seem to be living the last days in Japan with different rhythms. Not in a hurry, not too obtrusive, as if every step was chosen consciously. Jungkook looked calmer, more focused, while Taehyung came with eyes that held anticipation. No exagerati gestures, no deliberately exhibited signals. But precisely because of this, attention is drawn. Because when two normally transparent figures opt for more silence, the public knows there is a reason behind in their togetherness. There are pauses that feel deliberate. The time spent is not for the camera's glare, but for an inaudible conversation. Some witnesses mentioned how the two seemed to have a serious discussion, then laughed briefly, then again sank into silence. The pattern repeats itself, like two people who are harmonizing their minds, making sure every detail is in place before moving on to the next phase. Jungkook, who had been more reserved lately, seemed to find solace in this togetherness. In Japan, away from the hustle and bustle of Korean routines, he seemed to make room for himself. Taehyung, with his trademark sensitivity, is on the same side, not to force a conversation, but rather to accompany the process. In that silence, many suspect that the plan drawn up is not just a matter of work, but something more personal, more meaningful. Speculation has also sprung up. Some suspect that they're preparing a creative project that has never been announced. Others see it as a plan to reorient, taking a strategic pause before returning to the center of the spotlight. Japan, with its calm and reflective atmosphere, is often a place where one rearranges one's mind. For Jungkook and Taehyung, this place feels like a safe space to think clearly, without pressure, without instant demands. Interestingly, this plan is not accompanied by anxiety. There is precisely a constancy that is felt. Both looked confident, as if they had reached an agreement that did not need to be announced. Jungkook looks more steady. His steps are light, though his expression remains deep. Taehyung displays a rare little smile, a smile that usually appears when he feels in tune with a decision being made. For fans, this is no coincidence. This is a sign. Before returning to Korea, their moments together felt like a quiet chapter closing. Not farewell, but preparation. There's an impression that whatever they plan to do requires a solid foundation, and it is being built here away from the crowd. Not all plans have to be voiced. Some are quite perceived by those involved at Army who followed their every move, caught this nuance quickly. Discussions sprang up, not in a frantic tone, but out of curiosity. Many chose to wait, believing that Jungkook and Taehyung always had their own way of sharing when the time was right. This trust stems from a long history, from how both often surprise with mature and meaningful steps. Are these plans related to music, with visual works, with a personal journey that will influence the direction ahead? No one knows for sure, but one thing is clear: this plan is important. Important enough to be talked about in silence, valuable enough to be prepared away from the spotlight. Japan became a silent witness of that process, a place where ideas were tidied up and decisions corroborated. When they finally got ready to return to Korea, there was no sign of hesitation. It is precisely there that calmness hints at readiness, as if whatever has been agreed is now just waiting for the time to be realized. For Jungkook and Taehyung, this journey is not just a transit, but a small turning point that will later feel big. And perhaps, when the plan is finally revealed, whether in the form of a masterpiece, a new move, or a subtle change, people will recall these silent days in Japan. The days when two great figures choose silence, not because they have nothing to say, but because they are preparing something greater than words. Behind that calmness, there is a dynamic that feels right. Jungkook and Taehyung do not look like two people who are in doubt, but two individuals who have passed the questioning phase and are now in the deciding phase. The decision was not indulged, nor was it wrapped in flashy symbols. It comes as a silent understanding, the kind of understanding that is usually born from long conversations, from hearing each other without interrupting, from years of trust forged out of few small moments caught by accident reinforce the impression. The way they walked side by side without saying much, yet still in harmony. Kara Jungkook occasionally turned her head, as if confirming something, and Taehyung replied with a small nod. This kind of body language is hard to engineer. It is born naturally when two people are on the same frequency. For the observant observer, this is not just ordinary togetherness. It is coordination. There was a different emotional tone to their previous encounters. If in the past, togetherness was often colored by spontaneity, now it feels more reflective. It was as if both realized that whatever they planned would have long-term consequences. Therefore, every detail is considered. Every possibility is weighed. Japan, with its slower rhythm, makes room for this kind of process to take place without interruption. Many feel that this journey is a meeting point between two phases of their lives. Jungkook, who is later seen rearranging himself, and Taehyung, who is always sensitive to changing emotions, seem to find a balance here. Not a boisterous balance, but a stable one. In that silence, they seem to agree on one important thing. Whatever his next step, he had to be true to himself. The plans drawn up in Japan are in no hurry to be realized. There is patience that comes with it. The realization that the right time is as important as the idea itself. Jungkook and Taehyung don't seem to want to pursue surprises alone. If this plan comes to the surface in the future, it is likely that it will come with a solid foundation, not just a momentary sensation. The army, which noticed this change, responded in a more mature way. Instead of pressing, many choose to wait. There's a sense of trust that grows from long experiences together. They knew that when Jungkook and Taehyung chose silence, it usually meant that something was being prepared seriously. And history proves that patience often pays off. What makes this story even more interesting is its unpredictability. There are no clear clues, no leaks that can be ascertained. But that's exactly where the attraction is. When two great figures choose not to explain, the public is invited to read from the nuances, not from the statements, from the quiet, not from the noise. Japan becomes the perfect setting for this kind of narrative. Quiet on the surface, deep behind, as the return to Korea draws closer, an aura of readiness is felt. There is no restlessness that usually appears ahead of major changes. There's a solid calm. It's as if whatever they're planning has gone through an internal validation process. Now it remains only to wait for the right momentum to move. Perhaps these plans will be realized in the form of works reflecting the new maturity. It may also present as a change in attitude, direction, or priorities that are slowly felt. Whatever the form, one thing seems certain. This plan was born from a consciously chosen silence, not from pressure. And when one day the public looks back, these silent moments in Japan will feel significant. As a phase where Jungkook and Taehyung pause, stare inward, then step in a clearer direction. Not with joy, but with faith. Sometimes the biggest changes aren't announced. It is prepared quietly until it is ready to stand on its own.